Hi everyone, and welcome to the overview of the nervous system, module 1.2. Here's your vocab, pause if you need to. So, nervous system is our body's speedy, it is fast electrical chemical communication network. So it is not like hormones, right, which go through the bloodstream, which take a longer time, they're slower to react. Electrochemical, our neural network, is fast. These are our nerve cells, our peripheral, and our central nervous system. So what's the difference? Our central nervous system, or our CNS, is our brain and our spinal cord. That's it, end of story. PNS, our peripheral nervous system, is the rest of the nervous system that is throughout our body, our limbs, all of it. And obviously the two are connected so that they communicate. So our nervous system, it's like text messages. That's how fast the brain can send a message to my fingers, right? Think how fast you can move on the soccer field or dancing, etc. So here's just a visual of that. Okay, so there are 3 different types of nerves in our nervous system. There are the sensory nerves or afferent nerves. So think of these as, like, for example, our fingertip. Our fingertip touches the candle. That is a sensory nerve. That's going to send a message, right? If we're touching the flame of a candle, that sensory receptor is sending a message. It communicates one neuron to the next all the way to, and in this case, we're touching fire. So it actually never even makes it to our brain. The next place it goes, these are like kind of out of order here if you think in the way I want to explain them. So it goes sensory neuron, we're experiencing a sensation, to the spinal cord. Those are our interneurons. They are in our spinal cord. And in this case, the case of pain, of fire, we're not even going to make it up here where our brain has to think, what do I want to do next with my finger? This is a spinal cord interneuron reaction. So the interneurons are the ones that are like communicating with the brain, or in this case, the spinal cord, and they're going to send a message back. So sensory message is sending incoming info into the brain. Interneurons are communicating that to the powers that be. They're like middle management. And then that message is going to go out to motor neurons. What do motor neurons do? Just like they sound. They are the ones responsible for executing the action that the brain has wished it to do. So in this case, it's moving our finger back. So you can remember this by SIM, S-I-M, sensory interneuron motor neurons. Okay, so if it's something more like, I have to remember this dance move, it's not going to be like a fire. So it is going to go to our brain. It might be sensory nerves, then to the interneurons, which actually communicate with different parts of our brain to remember it, and then out to the motor neurons to move our feet in that certain way. So SIM. And there are millions of sensory neurons, motor neurons, and billions, right? Because this is the powerhouse of our nervous system here. There are billions of interneurons. Here's a breakdown of the different parts of our nervous system. I would absolutely write this graphic down. You're going to have to pause it because I'm not going to spend too much time here, but you can break the nervous system down into 2. You have to know these parts, guys. So central nervous system, peripheral. So brain, spinal cord, everything else is peripheral. Okay, so that's where the central nervous system graphic ends. Over here, the peripheral, we can break it down again. We have somatic, voluntary movements. I am voluntarily moving my hand. That is somatic. We also have autonomic. This is involuntary bodily functions. So for example, like digestion, breathing, these things that happen without my conscious control. In the autonomic, those automatic things, we can break it down again. And these are 2 important ones that do get brought up a lot: sympathetic and parasympathetic. So this is, sympathetic is our fight or flight nervous system response. There is a bear. We are responding in that fight. We are active. This is without our conscious control. Our sympathetic nervous system is activated. So that message of arousal, sending energy to the muscles, and not like it stops our digestion. It stops all these other things that aren't necessary because we need to fight a bear. So all of our energy is going to the parts of the nervous system that's going to keep us alive. And your body can't tell the difference, by the way, if the fight or flight's getting activated because there's a test or there's an actual bear. That is still your sympathetic nervous system responding in that fight or flight mode. Parasympathetic is, it's over. The test is over. It is our rest and digest. It is our slowing down. So like the digestion kicks back in. So people who talk about having anxiety, that fight or flight going off a lot, and then having digestion problems, will think about like how often that digestive system is getting shut down, right? Parasympathetic is working on those things because your body has the energy and time to do so. It's not shutting it down. And so both of these are constantly, one or the other is at play at any given moment. One way to remember this is that P is for peace and S is for stress. So S is for stress, sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, peace, calm. Okay, so these are just going over the two things that I just told you. Again, one's voluntary, one's automatic. Pause this if you need to look at them more closely and write them down. S is for stress, P is for peace. Here's just another breakdown. It's talking about acetylcholine, which is muscle movement, and how the sympathetic works versus the parasympathetic. Don't worry too much about this. It's just really to show you that like certain things are shut down and that you don't need to know all this. I just wanted to show you like a graphic of like somatic is like muscle movement, and then autonomic is so many other things that are like all these different things that are like not in our control. So the CNS has about 400 trillion synapses. Synapses are these places where two neurons meet, right? A neural connection. And they don't actually touch, by the way. But they have 400 trillion different little connections between our neurons. It's so cool. A grain-sized speck of our brain contains 100,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses. One grain speck. This is so cool. Our spinal cord is the thing, again, that controls our reflexes. So that's why that's why it's a reflex, and then it doesn't even get to here. You might touch something hot and not realize it's hot until your hand has already had that reaction. That's because your spinal cord is getting the sense. It's so weird, right? Your spinal cord is getting that sensory information before your brain gets it. So you touch the hot thing, you move your hand back, and then your brain is like, ow, that hurt. Your hand was already moved back. You already reacted. And that's because of your reflexes, because of those interneurons. So takeaways, our nervous system is broken up into two main parts, the CNS and the PNS. The PNS, we can break it further into voluntary, somatic, or autonomic, involuntary movements. When we break down that autonomic, it's either P is for peace, parasympathetic, or S is for stress, sympathetic. That sums up Mod 1.2. I will see you guys in class. Thanks.